Happy birthday, Doris. I guess I was on mute that whole time there. So this is Doris, and she just turned 100 on August 3rd. Actually, I have to share my mom's birthday was on August 2nd. She's not close to 100, but she's looking pretty darn good. I think she must love purple, so they have purple all around. And, you know, they honestly don't say very much about her other than she turned 100, and she is over at the senior center where they set up for her, and she was presented with the proclamation from Massachusetts Senate President Karen Bilka and State Representative Maria Robinson. Also, the mayor, Yvonne Spicer, attended the celebration, and they gave her a proclamation, a gold pin, and a City of Framingham hat. So I don't see the Framingham hat, but it looks like she has a beautiful crown on and a beautiful smile. She looks fantastic. So happy, happy, happy birthday, Doris. And now, today, for our caregiver question, let's go ahead and see what's going on. Steve isn't with us today, but let's go ahead and we'll put our caregiver question together. Okay, we're back. And I have the caregiver question for the day is, somebody asked about their dad, and her name's Susan, and she asked about her dad, saying that he is trying to get into tools and things that are a little bit dangerous, and what will we suggest as far as creating more safety? He used to be a woodworker, really enjoyed doing some of that. You have to assess the risk, and sometimes those things are really important for people to be around. Maybe there's some electric appliances or things that possibly shouldn't be there or can be dismantled in some way. But maybe there's something that you can take out and look at from what he's done in the past, and maybe just look at the tools that he's using, depending on his capability and using those tools. I don't know what his vision's like. So I think that's something we could really roll around as far as hobbies with a lot of situations with older adults. I've had other little ladies who do petty point or are involved in other activities, and it's just really too challenging for them to do the petty point with their vision moving forward. So sometimes they don't like doing things that are similar. So we need to find an entirely different activity. So it's possible there's something else your dad might be interested in, or just looking at some tools that possibly he can use versus things that are super dangerous. I hope that helps, and I'm sure some of you may have some insights on that as well. But today, we're going to add Melinda to the conversation. I'm going to play her little video too, because I think it's kind of fun and it represents her specialty. Hold on, we're going to play Melinda. And she's coming on board with us here in just a second. Hey, Morgan.
Good morning. That video makes me hungry in the morning if I haven't had breakfast yet. All that delicious food.
Well, you're our expert in nutrition and fitness, so I just wanted to make sure that we represented your expertise in that little video.
Yeah, I like all the foods, so perfect.
Yeah.
So what we were going to talk about, you had that shape up, yeah?
Yeah, let me probably pull that up too. So this is something that I've worked on for a long period of time. It might kind of squeeze in between us here. Here's just the first three, but Shape Up actually stands as an acronym that stands for, well, Shape Up Your Longevity. So it's researched information that with each item shares with you how you can increase your longevity. So with S, that's the spiritual community, and that's just part of being something bigger than yourself. And we know the physicality of what that does for you, and unburdening yourself with releasing whatever anxiety and pressures you have, having a higher power that can help you, or a group source that can help you through your stress. And H is for healthy life balance. That's a big one. It's stress and your laughter and just balancing your life with your work and so forth. And your attitude and influencers. We also know people who have very positive attitudes in life are able to live longer. And we can go on and on. P is for physical exercise, and we have eating habits. What we put in can sometimes stay in and really ruin our body. Do you know that as well, or better than I do? And then U is for united family, and P is for purpose. Everyone needs a purpose, no matter what age we are. So we have that available. It's coming up on our website. And
oh, wonderful. Now, is Shape Up an acronym that you developed, or?
It is.
Wow, it's so well put together. I love it.
Thank you.
You know what a common theme with all of the different aspects of Shape Up is stress.
Yeah.
Because certainly you can relieve stress by having a connection with a higher power. Everything you touched on, even the things that we eat can either cause stress in our bodies or can add nutrients to cope with the stress that we endure. And then physical activity is, you relieve stress that way, having a positive attitude. So one of the things that I've really discovered in just in work with nutrition is somebody asked me one time, what was the biggest thing that you took away from your master's in nutrition? And I was like, stress kills you. Like without it, and the answer surprised me. I didn't know that would be my answer, but without hesitation, in every area of the body. So in my master's program, we studied clinical nutrition for mental health, clinical nutrition for the cardiovascular health, for the lymphatic system, for the immune system, like all the different systems of the body. The one through line is how damaging stress is. And I know we didn't plan on talking about stress, but I just wanted to make that point because I saw that acronym, and that's just the thing that really occurred to me as you were reading the different aspects of the acronym, is that every one of those aspects helps you relieve stress. So
you're absolutely right. And I mean, and our bodies have these stress points too. So one person may be affected by their heart, somebody else may be affected by I don't know, something in their mouth, or something with their feet, or something with their gut. Maybe some of us are more affected with our memory due to stress. I know I can kind of get a little around, forget things, feeling the stress. But you're absolutely right. Stress is such a just consumes you physically, and it does deteriorate us.
Yeah, and it may not, I do think that it can cause disease and illness, but if it doesn't, if there's other contributing factors, it certainly doesn't make it better. It certainly, exacerbates certain conditions. So, yeah, it's just pretty powerful.
Yeah, so let's talk about, well, you have a little stress relief that you're encountering. Hopefully you're going on a little trip, and so hopefully you can decompress, get away from business, get away from the rigmarole. I think it's really important to take vacation.
It is. It's important to completely disconnect, I think, and just kind of like, I think that it's true for a lot of my clients who are parents, and I know that anybody who's parented, whether they're a parent or a step parent, if you don't take time to remember who you are, step out of that role. Certainly that's how I feel with business too. If I don't step out of that role and just kind of be a normal person, my normal self, just being, I think a lot of times we become human doings instead of human beings.
You're absolutely right. And it takes away from our creativity, and it takes away from being able to build something better too, when we're just sitting in the grind all day, all week, all month, all year. And I think that's something that COVID has kind of created in a way, more so.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to take those little stress relievers, whether it's just 5 minutes closing your eyes or reading a little phrase of something repeatedly,
Yep.
kind of a mantra to support yourself and find that happy place. But I think the thing that's really worrying me, and it is something I wanted to kind of have as a topic, is that love versus fear. And the
Yeah.
fear can get so overwhelming, the stress, everything takes over. And I think it's important to really look at, step back from that, turn the news off, turn off what's going on that's negative in the world and in your personal life, and look at how we can improve on just being grateful and thinking about what is working and not what isn't
Mm-hmm.
working. And I gotta tell you, I've been focusing on this for the last couple of weeks, and I personally feel so much more uplifted.
Yeah. I think my husband read something, and I don't know if he does a lot of research into health too. It's, a common interest of ours. But he read something about how just reading or watching the news really, I don't know if he read it shortens your life or it creates insomnia or whatever he was reading, but it was something like it has such a significant negative health benefit. I'll have to ask him what that was. But it was like, but when he said it, thought, that actually makes a lot of sense, because the news typically doesn't report positive things. The news typically
Historically,
reports,
right? It's not just
yeah,
in COVID, historically. So we're just gonna pump on the
yeah,
stories that are really out there that we really need to push. And
yeah.
I think it really does create fear in people.
And
And
it's also, now that we are a global community, we're no longer small communities because of the internet and how connected we are. The news now becomes the global tragedy. So you hear about all the horror things happening in Europe or Australia when, so it really does, it's really kind of the worst things that are happening in the world right now.
it's
And
true.
especially, during this COVID time, I think initially, when we all kind of went into the safer at home, the quarantine period,
Mhm.
initially the things that I heard from people, from clients or friends and family members and just people in general, was how wonderful that was, how it was great just to like be able to slow down, stop, stay home, take a big time out. Um, and then something happened with that now I think it becomes very apparent how traumatized we all are and how stressed the whole thing has made everyone. I think initially we were like, oh cool, we don't have to work for a minute. Let's stop. But I
Right.
think the real effect was that it was a huge stressor. Certainly for people whose income, was really affected. That was one of the things that my husband and I, being in our 40s and working people, when we were told, yeah, go home, don't work, it was like, uh-oh, like these are our working years. Like this brings a big hit, and it creates a lot of stress in your life. And I
No,
think
absolutely.
for the moments that we had to revisit what's really important to us, I think that
Yes.
a lot of people did that. It also created a lot of stress. And I think what we're dealing with now is that stress. And like you were saying, the stress of just being totally freaked out. Um, you know, it's kind of every day you wake up to something else, like another twist and turn in this kind of traumatic experience that we're all going through, that I think sometimes we can forget that we're still alive and we're living and this is our life, and we don't get this year back and we don't get tomorrow back, and we have to make the most of it.
Yeah, I have to say, I stopped listening to the news probably a year before COVID hit. And I figure if it's something super important, I'm going to hear about it through friends, in conversations, the
Yeah.
radio, whatever might come up in smaller tidbits versus these horrific over and over and over again stories. And I think when our minds are infiltrated with something like that, even like with aging too. So let's like
Yeah.
put COVID on the back burner. You're getting old. This is how old people act. You need to do such and such. You can't, physically do those things anymore. You really shouldn't be able to do such and such. So let's think about, how we can even change our perspective on aging just with the kind of that image that the public or the media has on aging. I mean, we spend billions of dollars on medications and treatments and creams, and it's a huge, huge market to stay youthful. And I can't say that I'm totally embracing aging myself. I thought I'd maybe go gray, and then I decided not to. And I haven't done any treatments, but I don't know that I won't in the future. I'm not sure, but I don't know. Let's talk a little bit more about that fear that the media kind of creates in aging and how we can kind of work around that too, especially with fitness.
Yeah. I think one of the big problems that I run into is I'll meet someone who will come to me. They'll come, they seek out the strength shop. They want to become stronger. They feel that this might be a good step for them, and they come in and they have maybe that initial session, or they call and make an appointment, and then they see their doctor, and their doctor tells them not to exercise. And it's so backwards to me, but most of the time, the vast majority of the time, people listen to what their doctor says. And that's one of the things that I would like to encourage people. When you seek out an expert, like a doctor, your doctor, that person may not know, they certainly don't know what type of strength training we specialize in the strength shop. And so usually I think they're afraid that their patient is going to be injured, that they're not going to be doing things properly, and that the exercise is going to do more harm than good. And that's why they just blanket say, yeah, don't do anything. But what they don't see is how safe we are, how you have one-on-one attention, making sure your form is correct, that you're performing the exercise correctly. Yeah. And that everything's being done in a very safe, controlled manner, like physical therapy. But sometimes we need to really listen to ourselves. So I think that we give our power away as people. And certainly that's in the aging process, so instead of knowing what we know in our core to be true, where, like, what does it matter if we have a few wrinkles? Like, does it really bother my husband? I mean, he thinks I'm beautiful no matter what. I mean, and then so we kind of like listen to these outside sources that, like, we need to look young, we need to have 0 wrinkles, we need to put a bunch of, certainly at my age, the big thing is like fillers and Botox and things. And then, you need to put a bunch of stuff in your face so that you don't age. And, not to say that fillers and Botox are wrong, if people feel good to use those, then use them, but it's not necessary. We can make aging anything we want it to be. And so we don't.
It's true. And I think the other thing that's interesting too is, it's one thing to have a physical look about us to avoid look of aging. But what are we doing inside to make sure that we're preventing that from aging too? And so what are we doing to improve because we're just using a medication to kind of cut that check engine light off and just take the medication versus maybe we need the medication, but what if we also lost a little bit of weight? What if we ate a little bit differently? What if we just took one little thing to go from good, better to best? And what if we took away soda? My mom just announced that she stopped drinking Coca-Cola. And I'm like, yes.
That's huge.
And it is huge. And my mom's not heavy at all, but she also realizes that there's a lot of sugar in it, which causes inflammation. She probably will drop a couple pounds, which she would like to do. And I think just the deterioration of her teeth and every other thing
Yep.
with
Yep.
the heavy soda use and that sort of thing is going to help. And I talk to so many people who make that decision for whatever reason, and they're so pleased afterwards. And then they don't have that desire for that level of sugar intake too, I think. You see that as well?
Yeah, you need to get, when you give up something like that your body is used to, there is a physical dependency on it. So especially with something like soda that's very high in sugar, anything that's very high in sugar. So, the first, I have a client right now who just gave up soda as well. And she said, she came in and she said, everybody is telling me that I'm going to feel better and I feel worse. And I'm like, yep, you're going to feel worse first. It's going to be a couple of weeks that you feel worse because you're not getting what you're used to. And that gives us like this kind of jolt of energy. And without that jolt, you kind of feel like sluggish and, so it can feel, you can feel worse in the beginning, but if you can get through that initial, that initial little bit of that giving that substance up, whether it's sugar, sodas, or caffeine, that's another big one.
Yeah.
Then you do feel a lot better. The inside of your body is a lot healthier. One of the things I wanted to mention as you were talking is I have people all the time come in and say like, oh, what can I do to improve my skin? Should I use this collagen? Or should I drink coffee to speed up my metabolism? Or like they'll just have all these like crazy anecdotes that they've heard over the years. And I'm like, it's really just simple. It's really just be healthy. Like there's no point in drinking collagen if you're like having 3 martinis at night. You know what I mean? Like, you could just give up the martinis. Like the effect that drinking collagen or taking a supplement is going to have is going to be very small compared to stopping the things that are actually aging your body from the inside out.
Right. No, it's very true. But I think some people need to have that sudden boom. I'm cutting all of this out. Boom, 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 done. But I think if we can also think in little increments. Yeah, I really do think I have this philosophy from good, better, best. And I a while back went vegan for a short time, just thinking, okay, if I can just like do this. And from that, I kept dairy out of my my diet. I found that I felt so much better. Well, I took a food allergy test too and found out that I am allergic to cow's milk and I am allergic to not allergic, but
sensitive. Yeah.
And then caffeine does not process well in my body. And I made a decision several years ago to not have coffee. I still drink some black tea, but which I'm trying to cut out now. So I'm going from good to better to best to try to cut that out. Just say, okay, body, now my next one will be, we'll have to figure out what my next one will be. But I'm dropping the weight, Melinda. That also makes a huge difference on your knees, on your hips, on your feet, on your just everything, your heart, your belt, everything, right?
We went to the beach last weekend, and we have like a little tent that we put up for shade, and we had all like our snacks and stuff, and have all the stuff we're carrying, and we have to go up these cliff steps to get back from the beach, but then we have to go down to to get back and forth. And oh my God, I was like, oh, like how much weight am I carrying with this? Maybe it's only 10, 15 pounds stuff I'm carrying. Oh my God, did it make a huge difference trying to get up those stairs? I was like, I feel like this is hard, So yeah, that does really, it makes a big difference in how you feel, how much weight is on your joints, how much weight you're carrying around.
I noticed just 3 pounds. I lost 3 pounds, and I noticed that walking down the stairs in my heels was so much easier. 3 pounds.
Yeah.
3 pounds.
What I like to do when I'm when I'm trying to, because here's the truth of it is our weight ebbs and flows. We're never just staying exactly the same. You would have to eat the exact same calories that you burn I mean, the exact same every day for your weight to stay exactly the same. So you're either at a deficit or you've overconsumed calories based on your activity in any given day.
Yeah.
And so if you just think of it as that, when I'm trying to cut back a little bit because I've been overeating or not doing very much physical activity, I just take it day by day. I think like, oh, okay, every choice that you make adds up. So if I
Mhm.
don't try to say to myself, oh, I'm never, so some people, my husband, he has to like cut it out and be like, I'm never doing this ever again. Done. Like he quit smoking cigarettes cold turkey. I'm like, how do you do? But he's like that. And there's different personalities. So for my personality, I can go moment to moment. I don't think like, oh, I'm not going to, drink alcohol for the next 5 years or whatever. I'm not going to ever have carbs again in my diet. But I'll say like, okay, in this moment, I can pass on the dessert. Okay, in this moment, I can say no to the alcohol. Okay, in this moment, and I just keep taking it moment by moment. And every time I say no to something that I know is not good for me, that brings me a step closer to whatever health goal that I'm trying to see, I feel good about it. It makes me feel better just making that choice. And so that kind of snowballs me into it. But I don't let myself feel badly if I do have the dessert or drink the drink at that moment. I just get right back into, okay, now I can say no again. So
Momentarily. Yeah,
that
absolutely.
helps me.
Yeah, I think we get in moments too where we can get really overwhelmed, so we eat emotionally and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
to kind of wrap up too, I'm just thinking about some of the takeaways that we talked about. So I really want to share Shape Up. Anybody who's interested in getting
Yeah.
more information on that, they can go to our website, www.seniorsolutions.com, and all of that is out there with all the details and all the health benefits. Melinda, you're over at the Strength Shop, and I think that's another location where people can really
Mm-hmm.
rebuild their strength. And we lose 0.5% of muscle mass every single year as we're aging, so we're playing
Yep.
catch up constantly. I had a friend the other day say, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing the weightlifting. And I'm like, oh, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to do forevermore, but I'm just thinking, I just need this to be able to keep up and
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
that I can, keep my strength up. And that is so important. So keeping your strength up, eating properly, finding your spiritual community or what your higher power is so that you can surrender those issues, your attitude. So let's get rid of
Mm-hmm.
the news and find what's really important in creating that positive influence and attitude for ourselves
Yep.
and our united family. So it's so tough right now to be able to be united with our families in the way that we really want, especially as things are picking up again. And I think we still need to find those ways to be close and communicate and connect. And I even
Mm-hmm.
found that I was not even reaching out to people, almost like, oh, we're not supposed to be together. So I mentally started to think, oh,
Yeah.
we need to connect, to talk. And I was like, oh, no, we got to change that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
purpose. We have this great purpose. In retirement, you always have to have something that kind of,
Mm-hmm.
juices you up and makes you excited about
I
something.
think that's what your caregiver question was too, that the man really has something that he enjoys. And
Yeah,
so it's if that activity is now dangerous for him, that has to be replaced with something.
exactly.
That's something that he's really finding that he loves to spend his time doing. There has to be something that he loves just as much. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Travel well. Have a great
Thank
weekend.
you.
And I will see you next week, hopefully.
Okay, I'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks so much, Melinda.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. She's not going to go away because she's
I'm still here.
yeah. There we go. So thank you, everybody, for viewing today. And let me go ahead and show you quickly. We have our little planning wheel. So when we put a plan together to create your power within aging, we want to look at what your wishes are, what's going to keep you safe, and what are your finances? What kind of budget do you have to work with? And when we merge those three things together, we can put a happy place together for you. We can put that plan together to make you thrive. In addition, let's see if we have anything else that's kind of important. I just want to share Shape Up. I want to share the fact that we have this great information on Shape Up. And I want to also share, let's see, well, I think Doris's birthday is very important too. I think it's important to celebrate everything that we have. And I think, oh, I know, we have our brand new journal coming out. Let me hide this. And we have our brand new journal, which will be able to be downloaded on our website very soon. And fantastic way of being able to just sit down with your loved one, even if it's a question over the phone and you're recording those memories or those comments. So we have things from early childhood, midlife, out to current life. Where were you when, and what kinds of things do you aspire to still now for your future, regardless of what your age is. And I think it'll be fun, the questions, the answers, the responses that you get to these questions. Also, we have the daily perk, so that is something you can sign up for free. So please go to aboutseniorsolutions.com and we will get you set up with any one of these tools at no cost to you. We have some other fun membership things coming up very shortly, and we'll share those as they come up. So have a fantastic weekend. I will see you next week and enjoy.